YC's QM is a good design. The part worth copying is not necessarily the server. It is the pattern. Scoped context, durable state, harness portability, and controls before autonomy. For one operator, I can get much of that with folders, Markdown, and a cooperative baton. This is No Doctrine. Here is how I handle this as a solo operator. This is a staged demo folder, not a real work folder. Everything on screen is sanitized. The shape is what matters. One folder per domain, its own instructions, its own source inventory, and a quarantine folder instead of deleting work in place. Here is the solo equivalence map. QM scopes become rooms. QM's policy and identity layer becomes one canonical directives file, copied into each room's instructions as a generated block. QM's Postgres store becomes portable item folders, a brief, a truth layer, and a source list with retrieval dates. QM's harness abstraction becomes a baton file. QM's command policy becomes conventions, soft delete, host side get, no secrets in files, and escalation gates before spend, publishing, or identity changes. The important detail is the generated block. The core rules come from one source. The room can add a delta, but it does not fork the policy. That is how a file-based system avoids slow drift. This is the Postgres store equivalent for a solo operator. It is not pretending to be a database. It gives the next model enough context to restart cold without depending on the previous chat. The baton says, who may write now? In this staged example, Codex CLI has it. The labels are plain, Codex and Claude-code. The writable root is relative. No absolute paths, no secrets, no private evidence. Release is not just flipping a field. Codex writes what changed, records touched files, adds the handoff request, and leaves the next agent a read first instruction. This is the hand-carried context. It assumes Claude Code cannot see the Codex chat. The project folder owns the state. Claude Code takes the baton before editing. This is cooperative, not a lock. If two tools write at the same time, the file cannot physically stop them. What it does is make the protocol visible, auditable, and easy for the human operator to enforce by running one writer at a time. My operating judgment from one operator and months of multi-harness use is simple. A file system discipline gets most of the value before a platform is justified. The honest concession is the whole point. Conventions are advisory. When you need enforced policy, central audit, shared credentials, unattended scale, or multi-user memory, graduate to a real platform. Until then, start with the files.